morning. My name is Joan McSween. We're here today at the Winter Garden Library. It is Monday, December the 11th. Ma'am, would you state your name?
Joan Teal Griffin, maiden name Howard.
Good morning, Mrs. Griffin. Could you tell us, please, how it is that you came to be in Winter Garden?
My mother was from Winter Garden. My daddy was from Barnesville, Georgia. And I was born in Barnesville, Georgia. And when I was 5 years old, we moved to property that Mother had inherited from her father, T.M. Mink. And we picked up the cows and the dairy help and the kids and everybody, and we moved to Florida into a house that was already on the property. There was also a cow barn and all the other barns, so we lived in the country. At that time, that was the country. It was 2 miles out of Winter Garden on Highway 50. And every time I cross Highway 50, I think about the times that I rode my bicycle so many times from my house to Robertson's Grocery, which was up there on Main Street. And it's just unbelievable to me. Now, I wouldn't stick my toe on that road, much less get on it on a bicycle. Anyway, that's how I happened to be here. And when I was 5 years old, and I started school at Tildenville Elementary School, the original old Tildenville Elementary School. It was right there on Tildenville School Road, and it has been replaced twice, so it's gone. It was built identically to the old Winter Garden School. And a storm came through the year before I started the school and blew the top story off the Tildenville School. So it was a one-storied school, and the Winter Garden was always a two-story. Anyway, that's the history on the schools. So I went to school at Tildenville 1 through 6. Then I went over to Lakeview, like everybody did, went 7 through 12. At that time, there were 300 students in the whole school. Now, oh, look at it. Where are they all coming from? But it was a good school. It was a good school, and we had a good time, and we had a tough principal named Miss Curtin, Mrs. Curtin. She was tough. But every day, she was also principal of the Winter Garden Elementary and the Tildenville Elementary, and every day she would walk from Lakeview High to town to visit the Winter Garden Elementary, and then she'd walk to Tildenville and visit the Tildenville Elementary. She was quite some woman. Well, let me think what else I can tell you about Winter Garden. Highway 50 was always paved. The school bus picked us up right in front of the house, and it was always paved. Now it's how many lanes? 6, something like that. Yeah, my parents had to tear their house down and rebuild behind it, and that was quite a venture. And now there's not the first one of our buildings left. There's a golf cart factory there, and none of our buildings are there. So it's all gone in the past. What else sort of thing would you like me to answer?
What was your favorite part of living in Winter Garden? What do you remember most?
At that time, people went uptown on Saturday. They bought their groceries and visited, and I used to beg my mother, let's go uptown. It's Saturday night. Everybody's going uptown. She says, well, we're not. And so we never did. But it was, my husband at that time was Hilton Teal, and he would be given a quarter for picking up the cow manure at their dairy all week long. And he would buy a ticket to the movie with the continued story. He would buy a can of vegetable soup, and enough bubble gum for the week with that quarter. Can you imagine? Then he'd go back and come back the next Saturday, the same way. Anyway, it was quite a town. Quite a town. Everything was grocery stores. There must have been 6 or 7 downtown grocery stores. Now look at the restaurants and all that we have. And Winter Garden's just bursting at the seams now. Hollis Holden was the one that thought about the trail, got the trail put through, and they took up the railroad tracks, which made it interesting. And now look at it. You really can't find a parking place on Saturday night. And now they're going to make an addition, I think, to the Railroad Depot Museum and take up the parking spaces between that museum and the Baptist church. And that will give them more parking for downtown, more history for right downtown. I don't know what they're going to do about parking. They've already, you know, put in parking lots down behind a lot of the stores, but they're not done. They're not done. After my husband and I lived in Gainesville, Florida, while he went to school. He had the GI Bill, and he went to school, and we had our first child in Gainesville, Georgia. We moved home from Gainesville when she was nearly 3. And then I had another girl and 2 boys. So we just had quite a get-together down at a piece of property that we call the Island. It was a part of the dairy property that Granddaddy Teal kept, because he just liked to ride down there. And so that's still there. And I was down there a couple of days ago, and our whole cow pasture has been dug up, and it's going to be full of apartments. Full of apartments. There's no more barn, no more anything, but it's full of apartments. Unbelievable. Of course, we didn't know about Disney World. We moved into Winter Garden as a family before we knew about Disney World. But anyway, there it came. So now it looks like Grand Central Station down there.
That changed the landscape. Huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. You turn off of 535, which has always been called the Lake Butler Road, and the 535 it continues by the Disney parking lot for the employees and stuff. And we came out that way the other day, and it was just unbelievable to me what has been built down